Hello and welcome to B&R Blueprint, where we break down the economy in plain language so you can protect your wealth and plan your future. Because today we're uncovering 8 signs the economy is worse than you think. These aren't headlines you'll see plastered across your newsfeed. They're hidden indicators, whispers in the wind that suggest maybe, just maybe, that Speedo-clad uncle should put on some pants. And trust me, you want to be prepared before things get messy. Okay, first up, let's talk about shopping malls. Remember those? Cathedrals of commerce where teens roamed free and the food court Cinnabon beckoned? Well, turns out those haven't been healthy for a while. But here's the thing. It's not just malls that are struggling. We're talking about major retail chains, big box stores, even your friendly neighborhood strip mall. They're closing stores left and right, and it's not because everyone suddenly decided to become hermits and make their own clothes out of hemp. This isn't just about online shopping taking over. I mean, yes, Amazon is basically a black hole sucking up all the retail energy, but this is about something bigger. People are cutting back. When foot traffic dies, businesses know it. They see those empty aisles, those tumbleweeds of discarded shopping lists blowing through the parking lot, and they know it's time to cut their losses. So the next time you see a for lease sign hanging in a storefront window, don't just shrug and keep walking. Let's talk about credit cards, shall we? Those magical pieces of plastic that let you buy things you can't afford with money you don't have, at interest rates that would make a loan shark blush. Now, I'm not here to demonize credit cards entirely. Used responsibly, they can be a helpful tool. But let's be honest, how many of us are truly responsible when it comes to credit card debt? Here's the scary truth. Americans now owe more than $1.13 trillion on credit cards. That's trillion with a T. But here's the real kicker: wages haven't kept pace with inflation. So while everything from groceries to gas to that avocado toast is getting more expensive, our paychecks are staying relatively the same. This means people are relying more and more on credit cards just to make ends meet, because when the credit card house of cards starts to crumble, you don't want to be buried under a mountain of debt. Remember the good old days of 2008? No? Well, let me refresh your memory. Banks were collapsing, the housing market imploded, and everyone was running around like chickens with their heads cut off. Good times, right? Well, buckle up, Buttercup, because we might be heading for a repeat performance. See those smaller bank failures you've been hearing about? They're not just isolated incidents. They're symptoms of a larger problem brewing beneath the surface. Think of it like this. Banks are like Jenga towers built on a foundation of cash reserves and real estate loans. And right now that foundation is looking a little shaky. Interest rates are rising, making it harder for people to repay their loans. Commercial real estate is a ticking time bomb, with vacant office buildings and unpaid leases piling up. And what happens when banks start to wobble? They either collapse like a poorly constructed Jenga tower, or they get swallowed up by bigger banks in a desperate attempt to stay afloat. Because what happens in the financial sector doesn't stay in the financial sector. Okay, let's play a game. I call it Spot the Difference. In this hand, we have a bag of chips from 2022. And in this hand, we have a bag of chips from today. They look almost identical, don't they? Same branding, same promises of cheesy, crunchy goodness. But wait, look closer, my friends. This bag is noticeably deflated. Congratulations. You've just witnessed shrinkflation in action. The tech industry. A magical land of unicorns, billion-dollar valuations, and more beanbag chairs than a college dorm room. But lately, even the tech giants haven't been immune to the economic downturn. We've seen massive layoffs at companies like Google, Meta, and Amazon. But here's the thing, it's not just tech. Layoffs are quietly rising across a wide range of industries, from media and entertainment to healthcare and finance. And often, these layoffs aren't making headlines. They're happening quietly, behind closed doors, with companies hoping to avoid the bad press and maintain a facade of stability. But here's the truth. When hiring freezes and silent layoffs become the norm, it's a clear sign that businesses are bracing for impact. Because in this economy, it's better to be safe than sorry. Remember those gleaming skyscrapers, symbols of economic might and progress? Well, take a closer look, because many of them are starting to resemble ghost towns. The commercial real estate market is teetering on the brink, and it's not pretty. Offices sit empty, haunted by the ghosts of water cooler conversations past. Leases are going unpaid, leaving landlords scrambling to fill the void. And it's not just big cities. Suburban office parks, once teeming with life, are now eerily quiet. Now, some people like to blame the rise of remote work for the commercial real estate crisis. And sure, working from home in your pajamas does have its appeal. But the truth is, the seeds of this crisis were sown long before Zoom calls and virtual meetings became the norm. Remember that feeling of reckless abandon, of throwing caution to the wind and splurging on a fancy vacation or a new car? Yeah, me neither. And it's not just me. Consumer confidence is plummeting faster than a lead balloon filled with bad economic news. People are nervous. They see inflation eating away at their paychecks, interest rates rising, and the stock market doing its best impression of a roller coaster designed by a sadist. So what do? They tighten their purse strings and hunker down for the long haul. Big ticket items like homes, cars and vacations put on hold indefinitely. And who can blame them? Remember that emergency fund you were supposed to be building? The one that was supposed to cover 3 to 6 months of living expenses in case of, an emergency? Yeah, about that. It turns out a lot of Americans have raided their emergency funds just to make ends meet. According to a recent survey, more than 60% of Americans say they couldn't cover a $500 emergency expense. A flat tire, a trip to the emergency room, a broken refrigerator. Any one of these unexpected expenses could send a significant portion of the population spiraling into debt. This lack of financial security is a ticking time bomb. Look, I get it. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and ignore the warning signs. But here's the thing. This isn't about fear-mongering, it's about being aware. It's about understanding the potential risks and taking steps to protect yourself and your loved ones. So, what can you do? Well, for starters, don't panic. Knowledge is power, and now that you're armed with this information, you can start making informed decisions about your finances. Thanks for watching B&R Blueprint, where we keep it real so you can stay ready. Like, comment and subscribe for more content like this. Let's build together.